What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Backyard Barbecuing, and today I'm going to show you how I made these crispy beer can chickens. All right, so we're going to do what's known as a dry brine. We'll salt these birds up all the way around and then put them back in the fridge overnight. Take out what's inside them. Nothing left. So now that I've got the birds all cleaned out, these things have been sitting in the fridge for about 3 days to defrost out of the freezer. We'll set them on the wire rack, and at this time you can go around and just clean up some of the loose skin that'll probably just burn up. So for the dry brine, what we're gonna do is just take some salt. We're not really going for a crunchy skin, but if we can get it, why not give it a shot? So what the salt's gonna do is it's gonna pull out moisture out of the skin, and then it'll reabsorb back into it, hopefully resulting in some crunchy skin. And again, we're gonna do these birds a couple of different ways to see which one was best. So those birds are back into the fridge, and we're gonna leave them uncovered on a wire rack to let air get all the way around them. And like I said, our goal isn't really for flavor for those things, but if we can get some out of it, cool. If not, I'm hoping we can get some crunchy skin out of it. So it is the next day, and you can tell that the skin on these things really have dried up. We don't really see too much salt on them, so it looks like it actually did its job. So if I was to put some rub on them right away, it wouldn't really stick. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with some vegetable oil spray to help our rub stick to it. Let's get it all the way around. And today we're gonna be using Rob's Rub again. One of my favorite rubs. This one's called the Train Wreck. Really good for chicken. Let's go ahead and get these all seasoned up. And again, the oil was really just to get the skin a little tacky to help this rub stick. We'll go ahead and get it all the way around this bird. Some's gonna probably fall off when I'm inserting the beer. Let's put some on the inside, but we'll just touch it up. I'm going to be doing 2 different types of cooks on this one. One of them I'm going to throw in the Weber, and the other I'm going to throw it in the barrel. So you only need half of a can of beer for each chicken. So how you choose to dispose of that beer is your choice. So we'll take the first bird and insert it. Let's go ahead and touch up this Rob seasoning on top. First one done. We'll move that one over. Next beer, we'll go ahead and insert this one also. Let's get that opened up a little bit. Insert. Let's touch it up a little more with some Robs. Looking good. It didn't really seem right to me to put a chicken in the barrel and not have it hanging. So if you're watching this video, that means my idea worked. I'm gonna take some baker's twine here, cut a string off of it. I'll lay it down, and let's choose a bird that I'm gonna hang in the barrel. I think this one looks like it's the smaller one, so let's try this one. And because it's gonna be hanging, I'm gonna need to try and get a way to get that beer can to stay in. So I wanna tie it real tight. And I'll do a couple of these strings to really make sure it stays. The problem I foresee happening is that when this bird starts to cook, is it's gonna shrink some, and these strings are gonna get a little loose. So I'll put a couple of strings on, and I'll tie them down real tight to see. I have no idea if this is gonna work, but we're gonna give it a shot. Let's go fire up the pit. Just to be consistent with the pit barrel, I threw post oak in there. I'm gonna go ahead and throw post oak in this one as well, just so we're consistent and we can taste to see which one is better. Okay, so I went ahead and hung the bird. I did the thigh meat and the leg meat towards the heat because they tend to be able to take a little bit more of it as opposed to the breast. So we're gonna let that hang in there and hopefully it hangs in. So I've done beer can chickens in the Weber before. I've done them in the offset before, and that's typically what people do them in. And, you know, I've seen them done in Traegers, but I've never seen one done in a barrel. And I love cooking in my barrel. I mean, I've done briskets in barrels. I've done ribs in barrels, obviously. I've cooked chicken in barrels, but I've never done a beer can chicken in barrels. So the idea has always been kind of appealing to me. So we'll see if our experiment kind of pays off. Okay, we're gonna check in on these birds. Now I have kind of added a couple of lumps of charcoal, but we're gonna get a reading for the breast. And we're temping out at about 122 degrees. I don't know if you guys can see that. There it is. 122, 123. Let's check the other side. Now same thing. I like to try and go through the same hole, just so that way you're not, because I punctured the back of the bird in the thigh and a bunch of liquid just shot out. And in the thigh, we're temping at about 130. But yeah, I go through the same hole because it tends to shoot out a bunch of liquid when you're puncturing the skin. The top looks like it's getting a little bit toasty, but the bottom doesn't look as bad. And let's see if that skin is starting to crisp up at all. Not so much the bottom just yet, but we do still have a ways to go. So that's it for the Weber. Let's check on the barrel. All right, so this is the one in the barrel. Let's check this one out. Now I have kind of stopped throwing in any chunks of wood. I did throw in one or two chunks of post oak, again, just to keep adding some smoke to it. So our thighs are temping out at about 130. But after a certain temperature, stop adding wood because the smoke actually stops penetrating the meat and it starts sticking to the skin. So now we're just going for straight heat. And I want to be really careful with these things because I don't want it to fall. So let's check this one out. 125 in the breast. We don't want to overcook those because then they start to dry out. But just like the Weber, it's going to need another couple of hours maybe. I think I like the way that the barrel one looks just because it's a little bit further away from the fire. And as you can see, it's kind of more of a golden brown as opposed to the darker skin that the Weber has. So this might be the new way to cook it. We'll see. Okay, people, time to take this chicken out of the barrel. Moment of truth to see if the beer can stayed in it. If I could do this with one hand. The beer can stayed in. So I just pulled both of these chickens, one out of the Weber, which is on the right, one out of the barrel, which is on the left, and we're gonna let them rest for about 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so the first bird that I want to cut into is going to be the barrel cooked bird. Let's go ahead and cut all this butcher string off. And it worked. Now that that's cleaned off, let's take out the beer can. Still steaming. I'll give you 20 bucks if you drink that. We'll cut right into it. Whew. Still steaming hot. You guys see that? Nice and moist and juicy. Try some with the skin on. So juicy. Rob's Rub really did a good job on there. I really like that skin. The train wreck from Rob's Rub was really good. It's kind of garlicky, has a slight spice to it. Really good. Nice smokiness. Really good. Okay, so up next is the Weber cooked beer can chicken. Take that out. Again, let's cut the breast. So the skin is slightly burnt. I think it's because, or I won't, wrong word to use, not slightly burnt, just a little toastier. But I think it's because the metal is so much closer to the meat that it just radiates that heat. So it could just be my Weber that I have. I have a smaller one, so maybe it's time to invest in the bigger one. Let's give the breast a shot. So juicy. Let's look at the breast side by side. Barrel cooked, Weber cooked. Let's try them again. Cleanse the palate. Well, people, I'll tell you the truth. Can't really tell the difference between the ways that they were cooked, but the presentation wise, if I was going to serve this to a bunch of friends or family, I think I would go with barrel cooked. Just because it doesn't look as dark. It doesn't look as dark as the Weber, just because the heat was so close to it. So my pick is going to be barrel. Okay, so that's going to do it for today's video. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Let's keep growing the channel. Until next time.